I believe that fear can be used to better an individual. When the word fear is mentioned, many psychological links occur. Many people see it as a debilitating concept, and an image usually comes to mind. Whether it's the spiders, the dark, small spaces, or whatever the image is, it is common to avoid the situation at all costs. Of all the types of fear, death is the most extreme. Death is an integral part of all living things, and no matter how hard one tries, it will always eventually come. As a soldier of the United States Army, I have seen how fear can be turned from a problem to a motivational tool. Upon my first day of basic training, we were unloaded from a bus and screamed at because everything we did was wrong. Drill sergeants began molding me by first breaking down the civilian. After strenuous drilling, marching, and reciting my duties, I was ready to move on to the next phase. Fear soon reappeared as tasks started to include a constant presence of live ammunition. I was required to reach goals and objectives that were physically and mentally draining, while watching tracers fly overhead. A common scene at Fort Leonard Wood was blood-stained and bullet-chipped concrete walls that showed past soldiers' mistakes. With a newly formed sense of self-esteem and an unrelenting drive to push myself to the limit, I then had to tackle my identifier training. My school was located at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, home to the Army's only combat medic school. It was here in Texas, whereas I, a medic, took on an entirely new set of challenges. Learning to work off minimal sleep, I mastered saving my brothers in uniform from any injury, and also learning to improvise medical supplies. Once a general knowledge and understanding of my duties and how to save lives, I moved to Brooks Army Medical Center to start my clinical hours. BAMC was the country's top burn center, and is often prone to receiving waves of IED victims straight from Iraq. It was during one of these waves that I was in the emergency room. Stepping to those glass double doors similar to a grocery store, I saw the scariest and yet most motivating convoy of nearly 40 ambulances with sirens on flying towards the hospital. Patient to patient, I flew, ventilating, checking amputation bandages, and providing any care needed. After an extremely difficult night, I finished and returned to my barracks to prepare for our field training exercise. Hours of marching led us of Alpha 232 deep into the deserts and mountains of Camp Bullis. In a simulated field hospital, continuous waves of casualties were received. It was here I gave my first surgical crike with my knife and improvised tubing. Undersupplied and exhausted, I had to move with an infantry squad into a hostile village. Improvised explosive devices or IEDs were under babies, they was in cars, and always detonated, causing mass casualty situations. The sound of AK fire would erupt from rooftops and windows, while my squad would respond and take cover. Infuriated, but following the Geneva Convention, I had to treat enemy and friendly forces by priority. After 4 months of training here, it was time to return home and meet my unit. I was stationed with the 38th Aviation Brigade, and allowed the opportunity to continue with my further schooling. In a never-ending quest to better myself as a medic, I started working towards my nursing degree. Upon receiving word that my unit was leaving for Iraq, I instantly sent many requests to join them. Constant denials and requests for me to continue schooling only slowed my ambition. In the recent years, seemingly random acts of violence have been broadcasted daily, and though death is a constant thought as a soldier, I have an obligation and deep desire to fight beside my family. I know that many, if not most people, will never truly experience the fear of combat or what it is like to have someone's life depend upon your actions. I am not suggesting these people are inferior in any way. I am simply trying to say I understand civilians have their own set of challenges. Confrontation of these fears is not the easiest choice, but it is the best way to overcome them. Bullets and explosions have not become less scary. I have learned ways to cope with them. Personally, I don't like spiders, so I take my fear of them and simply try to appreciate life. I took on the responsibility of just capturing them and releasing them outside, or just leaving them alone. The first true step in overcoming your fear is trying to understand exactly why do you fear it. Then you must try and find out why that anxiety occurs. For me, spiders look for warmth and food. With a new sense of understanding and appreciation for the journey, you must find a way that you can face it. I know that it may seem hard to confront them, but it's the only way to overcome them. Once the individual overcomes this fear, a sense of motivation can be instilled. Deriving a sense of pride from overcoming the challenge provides one source of bettering a person through fear. At the same time, it's only human to fear things. Desire to live means the person has something to live for. Following the same reason, any fear is directly linked to the person's will to live and remain unharmed. It is necessary to not look at overcoming your fears, not valuing life. Allowing oneself to do new things opens countless doors to new experiences. In a continuous attempt to learn what I can expect in Iraq and Afghanistan, I ask my superiors and friends who have already been deployed. One of the most influential people I have met in my military career is Specialist Osterbrock. Specialist Osterbrock joined the Army early in life, became a combat engineer attached to the 101st Airborne. On one of his tours in Iraq, his group experienced heavy gunfire. In the battle, they fired nearly 10,000 rounds, which in modern warfare is an extremely high amount. As night fell, they continued with their patrol and had come upon a large warehouse. With a curfew issued to all Iraqi civilians, no one should have been on the street. However, a child took off running upon seeing the approaching soldiers. In a brave and yet stupid move, Specialist Osterbrock and his friends ran after the child into the warehouse. Inside, they found close to 200 Iraqi children bound and gagged on the floor. Later, they would find out they had stumbled on one of Iraq's many orphanages, probably saved these children. By overcoming the fear of knowing anything could be waiting for them inside, Osterbrock and his friends saved many lives. Another very influential person in my career is Staff Sergeant Steele, who I recently met. She has been on 9 deployments and spent nearly 12 years in combat zones. She is probably the most influential to me because she too is a combat medic and has received her badge. Staff Sergeant Steele is the sergeant over me at the Troop Medical Center. In a few minute breaks between surgeons and soldiers, she has sat with me and shown me many pictures from Iraq. Stationed in Baghdad, she was one of Saddam's medics shortly following his capture and has saved many other people's lives. Her favorite story is not one of glory, however, or of prestige. In terms of receiving medals, it is of a 3-year-old boy and his little sister. Caught in crossfire between U.S. soldiers and insurgents, the little boy was shot through the chest. The bullet virtually destroyed or damaged every major organ. Forced to extreme means, the surgeon and Staff Sergeant Steele had to open the boy's chest and pump his heart by hand, while the surgeon worked on repairing the organs. After hours and weeks of work, the little boy left the hospital, pushed in a wheelchair by his younger sister. Staff Sergeant Steele has seen many things that are unforgettable and stands ready to deploy once again. She is an outstanding example of working through fear to achieve great things.